Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
A brand new season dawns at one of the great all-around circuits the world has ever seen. Welcome, everybody, to the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, here between the small towns of Spa-Francorchamps, labelled as part of Stavelot, here in Belgium. This Formula B Super Formula Series is about to kick itself off into some pretty epic racing, and the best thing about it is that it is going to be like this for 12 weeks of truly awesome craft. My name's Jake Sperry, double duty for Jay Kennedy, who joins alongside me and is on cameras for today's action. Jay, been a while since I've had you in the commentary box here with me. Spa, the great all-around circuit, and truly ideally built for Formula machinery.
100%, Jake. It's going to be fantastic. It's a great racetrack to be at, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fantastic circuit for today's race, and I'm really excited to see how these cars handle it. It's going to be very interesting to see how the deployment of the Overtake system is played out as well, because long straights will mean that it's going to be interesting to see where it's used. But the other part of that is, where do you then use that, and the cooldown, how that plays into it as well, because we know that the cooldown is just as big a factor in how the Overtake system is used as it is in where you actually use the Overtake system itself. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see when and where it's used, and how many laps drivers will use it for, and where they're going to use it. So really going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, a circuit, 7 kilometers and 4 meters. It breaks convention of an FIA Grade 1 circuit for being too long. It will also be a track that will say, right, I'm going to challenge you everywhere. It's a fast opening sector, a technical middle sector, and it's stop-start through the final stages with some fabled corners. Eau Rouge, Blanchimont, Rochelle comes to mind, Double Gauche. It is all about what makes this circuit tick. Now, let's talk about what happened last season, where everybody was able to finish up in both championships, both iRacing and in SimSpeed standing. Timothy Friis-Larsen able to pick up the win by over 245 points over Chris Rosenkrantz, with James Byrne ending up in third ahead of Dan Jiang. Kevin Foster was able to finish off in 5th ahead of Luis Kachan and Lucas Hand, with Victor Awad 8th in the standings ahead of Dennis Branch and Valerio Fagundes Tavares. A strong Brazilian contingent then finding what they needed. In terms of our splits running, ultimately it became, Jay, a bit of a damp squib at the end, with Timothy Friis-Larsen showing up for the title decider and Kevin Foster unable.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing not to see Kevin there at the end, but still amazing that he finished second, considering he was only there for 5 of the 12 races, which is an incredible effort. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this season, with Timothy Friis-Larsen not here for the first round this season. So he's giving everyone a bit of a free head start this season. Interesting that Andreas Henkel was the biggest mover at the end of the season. He gained 6 spots in that last round to jump up from 15th to 9th to jump himself into that top 10 in the final round of the championship. So he had a big move right at the end. So found himself a top 10 in that final round at Interlagos.
Yep, no surprises from a former pro Stripe, which he got in the Turn Racing Grand Prix iRacing series. Now, here's your schedule for the season. 19 laps here today at the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, but it's a who's who of circuits. Nürburgring over to Mexico on the 4th of July. You got Barcelona, Fuji, Suzuka, Barber Motorsports Park. You get some really nice running. And look at that for an aggressive end to the season. Mugello, Monza, the Algarve, and then September 5th at Silverstone. Jay, that is I would say, a bumper schedule.
I'm really looking forward to this schedule. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be action-packed the whole way through. It's an interesting one. I think Mugello's a track that stands out to me as a real outlier, as something a little bit different from all of the other ones. So I'm looking forward to that. Monza is going to be an absolute classic. And, of course, the Japanese circuits in the middle, not at the end or at the front of the season schedule. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they play out. But I think it's time to get some qualifying action in, because the drivers are starting to get some times in. And no surprise who's got the first time in on the board. Kevin Foster, P1 straight away.
Yeah, with a 150.819 there in the Sim Racing Nation #1. The Canadian has had running, by the way, in the real world over in FIA F4 France back in 2022. Picked up a podium on occasion there, and it's true that he definitely drives different to everyone else, and he's got that real racer's look out there. Drivers here looking for their first times, the likes of Samuel Hataya Hubasi is going to be one who wants to put his first time down on the board. Really looking to be aggressive here. Over 290 kilometers an hour into Blanchimont. It is staggering, the speeds that they run.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast they are in these cars. It's a brilliant, brilliant circuit for these cars as well. Fantastic track at the best of times, but for these cars, it's absolutely brilliant. No lap time on that first attempt, so you'll have one final go at it. But interesting that everyone other than two drivers actually got a lap in on that first attempt. So very, very interesting that almost everyone got a lap in on that first run. But Kevin Foster will be the next driver to get a time in, and he looks like he's on a better lap than his first attempt.
And he's already 6/10 clear of his Canadian compatriot Lucas Hand, so he could be going even faster still, and he will be doing so right now on a track that is 26 degrees Celsius, 7:15 in the evening in sim time. Over to the line, a 150.4. He is exactly a second clear at the top end of the board, giving everyone notice. Brian Carey now next to the line here in the number 17, hoping this is going to be enough to leapfrog a couple places. Crosses on a 52.1. That's going to be good enough for 14th place. Victor Awad is now going to be next here in the number 10, as we're going to see more and more times flicking across the board saying we are going to get there. 52.4 there, stays rooted to the bottom.
Saw Ben Ford jump up a few spots up into 4th position, so that was a good jump for him. Jack David's rear kit, that's a little bit wide at the exit of the chicane, but he might be okay with that. Does improve on his time, but only a minute amount. Won't gain him any positions. Dan Jiang, quite achiever in this series, isn't he, Dan Jiang? He just plods along, does his own thing, gains positions in the race. Not the best in the qualifying sessions, but always gains positions in the races.
Chris Rosenkrantz up to 3rd. He's a title challenger out there. And Dan Jiang goes 3rd on a 151.5 as he puts it over the line. Checkered flag out. And Lucas Hand will look at the time of Kevin Foster, and he actually threw expletives out over the radio. How did you manage that, Kevin Foster? 150.4. 3/4 of a second quicker than Lucas Hand. Dan Jiang starts 3rd ahead of Chris Rosenkrantz, with Kostek Solovier in 5th position and Ben Ford then in P number 6. It's then Andrew Petty and Tyler Noller then on row 4. Andrew Petty, the Creator Series 500 champion. Daniel Radmilovic is then in 9th, with Dejan Paunov rounding out your top 10 from Macedonia. Benjamin David in 11th, and Jack David Spickett, the classic specialist, in 12th. Gabri Martinez, who will line up 13th ahead of Brett Greaves, with Samuel Hataya Hubasi and Brian Carey on row 8. Your final 3 drivers, Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez, Felipe Sarkis, and Victor Awad. Brazilians at the back as they get themselves stood up. Now, critically, Jay, just before we go to racing action, Kevin Foster already leads the championship here with 3 championship points.
Yep. In our SimSpeed Championship, it runs off the Super Formula point system, which is 3 for pole, 2 for a P2 in qualifying, and 1 point for a third in qualifying, and then 20 points for a race win. So, 3 points for the championship already for Kevin Foster. And as we said, a long race today, longest of the season as well in terms of kilometres, 133 kilometres. No pit stops though needed. But the 17x incident points, we know that Spa can net them up quite easily. Don't be surprised to see a driver get disqualified for incident limit violations in this one today.
It's one of the more difficult circuits out there, and it used to be even more difficult than it is now. It is truly a difficult circuit to go and stay within the bounds because everyone wants to push. Everyone waits on Chris Rosenkrantz to make the move, and the short run towards the La Source hairpin is always going to be critical in terms of how this race will stack up. Foster, Han, Jiang, Rosenkrantz, green light out, and we're underway. What a lovely launch there by Dan Jiang. Lucas Han left standing off of the start, and Jiang trying to go to the outside of Foster, who covers it off. Almost contact there in through 4th position then as they start to put themselves into line. A lovely start by Kostek Solovier, who will jump up the positions to Orouge and Radion then for the first trip through. Single file up until you reach Gabri and Dejan Paunov. Paunov has to lift off, but now the Kemmel straight becomes critical. Here comes Dan Jiang looking for the race lead. Kevin Foster matching him wheel for wheel every stage. 3 wide, Lucas Han thinks about it, backs out of it. Kevin Foster leads.
What a great start there. Both of them at the front, but almost contact between Jiang and Handers. Off in the background, that's Ben Ford. Rejoined safely.
Can't miss him in the McLaren colours. Lewis Hamilton helmet on. Just a big old moment of contact up at the top of the hill at Malmedy. And now he's back with Brett Greaves directly behind him. Oh, and a big one off in the wall. Gabri Martinez.
Yeah, that's a big moment for him. He's going to be able to rejoin, but that was a huge tank slapper moment. He almost kept it out of the wall, but I think he'll be able to continue on. That's an unfortunate incident. No, he has got it into the wall, and mechanical black flag, he will be race done.
Really a shame there for Gabri Martinez. He drives with his heart on his sleeve, and he knows how hard he wants it. That's a mistake there for Tyler Nolla, and that was nearly Daniel Radmilovic. Straight down the inside trying to get it. Move now coming for Chris Rosenkrantz. He fights Kostek Solovier for position. Where you've used the battery or where you haven't has been key. Andrew Petty watching on, waiting, moving over inside line. He might get them both if he's brave on the brakes. It might just be the one. It might even be none because Kostek has the inside for the second part of the final chicane. The Fury Sim Sport driver losing out the place there. Petty holds himself then to 6th place. 5th currently with Kostek. Big junk up in the back. That is Hataya Hubasi, Greaves and Awad.
Yeah, all 3 of them have got mechanical black flags as well. So we've lost 4 cars, 5 cars on that first lap. And Ford as well has got the mechanical black flag. So we're going to replay that in a moment because that is huge. But we've lost a whole heap of cars from that. At the end of the first lap, Ford and Jiang continue to battle down the straight. Jiang's just done enough. What a start from Dan Jiang. I said that he always gains positions in the race. Well, he did a great job in qualifying, which he had been lacking in previous races. But now he's done a great job in qualifying. He hasn't got many more positions to gain.
No, only Kevin Foster to go and get around, and at the moment, Dan Jiang happy with his placement in 2nd, Hand in 3rd, and a big gap to Rosenkrantz. It's a big battle for 5th as we focus on this replay. So this is up the top of the hill with Ben Ford. Now, does he end up just wheel to wheel with Andrew Petty? Oh, he's trying to fight the outside, and Andrew's just fed him a wheel to say, look, you're not getting any room out there, sunshine.
Yeah, he just ran out of road, didn't he? He just didn't have anything left. Then Martinez, what's happened there? There was a little bit of contact there with another car. I couldn't quite see who that was. And then he's just got it loose over the edge of the curb and bang, that rear wheel. That rear right's just a little bit damaged there. So that was where he's picked up his mechanical black flag. Tell you what, Lucas Handy might be close enough to maybe make a move. Now, both of these drivers are on the cooldown as well, so you can see that green light flashing slowly. That means that both have used the overtake system and are in cooldown mode. Interesting that the amount of cooldown that there is, you can nearly use the overtake system every lap here.
Almost every lap, and so they'll try and use it to defend as much as they can. Petty to the inside, Solovier on the outside, looking for the drive on the on-camber turn 1 at the last source hairpin. Now comes the drive, then back up the hill again, or down and then to up for Eau Rouge and Radion, and there's no lift from either of them. Solovier's going to have to yield out of it. That now brings up into play on the left Tyler Noller and Dan Jiang losing the place of Lucas Han and covering it off both ways as they work into the Les Combes chicane. And now look, too wide and too wide. Where do you want to go for it? Noller gets the pass done on Petty, who loses a front wing. On the back there, he just makes contact. Solovier off the road then. Tried to go to the outside, and Petty again understeering. Through goes Jack David Spickett and Daniel Radmilovic.
Wow. Somehow they've kept on going. Everyone's continued on, but that could have ended up a lot worse. That was a crazy little moment, and everyone's made it through, but wow, this racing is aggressive for the start of this race. They do realise that it is like lap 3 in a 12-week championship. They've all got to race together for the next 11 weeks, and I'm sure everyone will remember what's happening in this week over the next 11 weeks, won't they? They'll remember what's happened. We'll go back to lap 1. Have a look at this, Barry.
Yeah, so drivers have memories like elephants when they've been wronged, like goldfishes when they've forgotten, and it's the smallest bit of contact as they go through. Actually, it's just a slide, and then everyone at the back, because they're all committed to get onto that wide line, nowhere to go. Massive moment.
Jiang
Petty has damage to the front wing. Jiang back through on Lucas Han. Chris Rosenkrantz has joined the party. So everywhere you look, there is something going on, and there's going to be more contact between Petty, who's now trying to get to the pits. Rosenkrantz here in 4th position. He is sat with a lovely chance of moving up to 2nd. I think he's going to have to be patient here. And he had a couple races late on last season where he burnt the battery down to try and hold a lead. Now he's been very conservative with the battery compared to Lucas Han, and I think it's going to pay him dividends here, because he's going to get a lovely run in the Simpson machinery to go to the inside up at Les Combes, and Lucas Han just lets him have it 3 wide behind as they work over to the next section. Look at this. Radmilovic then has to let Spickett bang upside down. A massive accident for Jack David Spickett.
Wow, that is huge. We thought he was clear, but just the tiniest little bit of contact, and that is a massive, massive hit. The other two have continued on okay. Benjamin David, he was the only one that wasn't using the overtake system, and somehow he ended up the most safe out of it. Tiny little bit of damage to the front wing, but wow. What a huge hit that was. That was incredible.
Tyler Noller couldn't get it slowed, and that's the reason why the hit is how it is. Noller out, Petty out, Ford out, Spickett out. Looking at this now, it's going to be a case of who will finish rather than who can at this point. It might be a case of surviving. You get points here today at Spa. It's been that sort of race, and the frustration, I think, is there for many a driver to try and say, look, I want to try and get this all sorted out, and there's no worries at all. Rosenkrantz up to 3rd, and looking now at Dan Jiang, and here's a look, Tyler Noller's perspective. Now Tyler says, you turned in like I'm not there, so let's see whether that's the case or not. Overtake on, you can see there on the dash, pulls it off, hits the brakes, turns in. To be fair to Tyler Noller, he doesn't really have that much room to go anywhere but into the side there of Jack David Spickett.
He hit the apex, didn't he? And Jack David Spickett was basically in his wheel, wasn't he? He didn't really have anywhere else to go. Strange.
Yeah, you can lose sight of a driver when you're 3 wide. You think, oh, it's 3 wide, oh, I'm going to be there and I'm going to outbrake the car in front. But then you lose sight of the car that you're there along with. And so very easily, can find that the race goes the wrong way. Benjamin David, a German driver in a Force India livery, I would say he's a Nico Hulkenberg or Adrian Sutil fan, out there looking to push Dejan Paunov. Then just in front is looking to try and deal with that, and he's in an Alpine livery just in front of him. So get this, we got a battle of the manufacturers out there as they look to try and set. Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez from 17th is 8th.
Incredible, and Felipe Sarkis from 18th, he's up half the field, he's up into 9th, so interesting as well. Brian Carey and Kostek both yet to use the overtake system as well in 10th and 11th, so they have yet to use that overtake system. Now, in regards to the overtake system, the front four, said earlier about Rosenkrantz in the earlier season that he used it, or previous season, he used it a lot to defend positions. He has used it the least out of that front four, so interesting. And Kevin Foster has used it the most out of the front four, whereas last season we saw him use it the least out of most people. So very interesting that we're seeing a bit of a turnaround in that front four with the amount of usage for Rosenkrantz and Foster.
In saying that, though, Kevin Foster has burnt through a quarter of it within a third of the time of the race. So I think he's managing it quite well, only using what he needs to get to a level where he can continue building a margin up there at the top. So he's happy at the moment. 3 seconds to the good over Dan Jiang. And on that last lap, 0.4 of a second quicker as now Rosenkrantz under pressure. Lucas Hand closing on in, but not close enough to make a move into the right-left chicane then of Lake Coombe and the right of Malmedy, the highest section of the circuit. From Malmedy down to No Name Corner, Jay, they drop over 40 metres.
It doesn't feel like that until you actually drive it in the sim. It doesn't look like it. It's a strange little area, but when you're driving it in the sim, you do notice how much of an elevation shift it is. So the cameras don't do it justice. The cameras in the real world definitely don't do it justice. But a strange little area on how much elevation change there is. It's amazing how much elevation change there is in this circuit. Fantastic track.
It's a truly wonderful
iconic
track.
One of the best.
Yes, so with Gabriel Martinez now into the pits, and that's to serve the black and orange mechanical flag out there, we now sit in a scenario where we are down to 12 runners at this moment in time. So you will be turning around out there and saying, well, look, we've got a lot to go and get the points. And remember, when we're scoring these points for SimSpeed Championship, it's top 10 that get the points hauled. So when you're turning around and saying, oh, only 2 of us are going to be on the wrong side of it, now's the perfect time to just consolidate, go get your points. Rosenkrantz looking behind then at Lucas Hahn and realising here, right, if I want this podium, I'm going to have to kick on into another gear to catch Dan Jiang. At the moment, not doing so here. 52.4 was 2/10 slower. So looking behind at Lucas Hahn, who, if he gets a big enough run here up the Kemmel, he'll have a great chance at Lake Coombe for the pass.
Interesting, I've just seen as well, we know that Gabriel Martinez is in the pits, but he's already down to 6 seconds. So if he does come out, he'll have no time left. There's a little bit of dust kicked up by Rosenkrantz. That was a little bit messy. Paunov as well, also in a little battle. Look at how close this battle's got over the last lap. This is closed up really tight once again.
Yeah, this one is going to be a very, very important race for Dejan Paunov here behind Daniel Radmilovic, the likes of Benjamin David there as well. And we talk about strength of fields as well, Jay. This is a 5,400 soft out there, and if you've got a low number like Daniel Radmilovic does, 15th out of 19 drivers, big day to go score points on your iRating.
Yeah, he'll find himself a nice little boost in iRating. He'll find himself a nice little boost in Championship. He'll get himself a good haul of points if he can maintain this position. He'll find himself with a nice little smile on his face after the race as well if he can maintain the position. He's doing a great job at the moment. There's Radmilovic, Paunov as well. Gonzalez as well. You'll be happy with an 8th from car number 16. Of course, the car number represents your expected position in the field based on your iRating.
it's your form guide, and it's really
Essentially,
critical.
yeah.
It's Kevin Foster, 51.7. Fastest lap. Radmilovic very far over early along the main straight as he is chased by Paunov and David, and just behind that, trying to stay with him, Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez, who is there, Felipe Sarkis. Then on the back of that, they are in the 52s to 53s, and they're all looking at moves like Chris Rosenkrantz is now having to defend at the moment as Lucas Hand doesn't quite get there. But now here comes the move from Dejan Paunov. This is going to be easy. There goes the pass. Now, does Radmilovic just fall into line and say, look, I'm going to say I want to cover and get myself to second in the pack because it's the best move on the final lap? I think he does for the moment.
No point fighting. If you know the other drivers already use the overtake system, there's no point fighting back because you're only going to waste it when you're then using it to defend. Might as well use it to attack the following lap. We've also been handed a little bit of info for a moment with Lucas Hand now in a really good position to potentially put a pass on Chris Rosenkrantz. He and Kevin Foster are actually in the same kart team in the Calgary Kart Club. How's that for a little bit of information? They're good friends, Kevin Foster and Lucas Hand.
Well, if they know
How's
each
that?
other inside and out, and they know what to do when you set yourself down on the karts, I would turn and look at those two and go, well, we soak them up, we get them bigger, and, you know, the gap, I think, has shown, but they'll learn a little bit off each other. I can drive it like this, I can drive it like that. And so you're getting a real sense of what they're both capable of doing. Hand then in that fourth position, looking at Rosenkrantz in third, Jiang in second, and then Kevin Foster, who's now nearly 4 seconds adrift, then at the front of this field. I would be turning around and saying, look, I would very much like a podium. Green light is there, ready to use for Lucas Hand. Gets a lovely run. Then as he works himself off of Radion corner and now up the Kemmel straight, he's just sitting back, electing not to use it by the looks of things there. Not close enough to make it happen. Why should I burn?
I think he's content with the amount of pressure he's applying on Chris Rosenkrantz without using the overtake system. I think he's ready to just surprise Rosenkrantz without the overtake system. The only issue that they've got is that Jiang and Foster ahead are using the overtake system and using it about the same amount and are pulling away relatively easily. They're pulling about 3, 4, 5 tenths a lap. So that gap is extending. So these two will lose out and will end up only being able to hold on for a third place rather than sticking with Jiang and maybe fighting for a second. I don't think anyone's going to be able to fight with Kevin Foster today, but yeah, they're losing out and potentially having a second place fight just because they're not using the overtake system as effectively as Jiang and Foster have been.
Right, let's talk about this overtake system properly here, Jay, because it's not a battery as such when you talk about how it regenerates and how you go through. This overtake system, you've got 100% cool time or cooldown or retime as it is known, and so the light shows you everything that you need to know. But if you've got the button on and you're using it at the end of the race and you're talking about, okay, I've got 150 seconds to burn, it's all about not just having those 150 seconds, but applicable areas for those 150 seconds.
Exactly right. You want to make sure that you can use it in the right spots and with it as well. It is an on-off switch, so it's unlike a DRS system in F1 or other systems in IndyCar and things like that. When you turn it on, it's on, and when you turn it off, it's off. So you need to make sure that you understand that you've got that extra horsepower the entire time, which has caught drivers out. We've seen in races on the final lap when they've just decided, well, I've got the overtake system there to burn, I'll burn it. Actually make mistakes with that overtake system. They've burnt the tyres up, or they've spun out with the extra horsepower. So that they've made massive errors using the overtake system ineffectively on the final lap. So sometimes it's not the play to save that overtake system for the end.
Out of this race, Victor Awad, Samuel Hutaya Hubasi, Brett Greaves, Ben Ford, Andrew Petty, Jack David Spickett, Tyler Nolla, and Gabri Martinez. That is 7 retirees. And I want to note something of a bit of a correlation here, Jay. All 5 Brits are out of the race.
No comment.
God, they're having about as much luck as the England cricket team right now, I'd say.
Again, no comment. up the Kiwis.
Well, I'm sure wherever Cam Dance may be, he will be doing a little jig somewhere hearing that. Chris Rosenkrantz in 3rd place right now with the fastest lap check mark next to his name in purple, a 151.6. Good enough then to say, look, I was able to claw back on Dan Jiang 0.6 of a second, and that is push to putt. I think he's forgotten to turn it off.
I think so too. I think he's pushed the button and forgot to turn it off, and he's unfortunately used all of his overtake system, or he's... I wonder if he races in VR and he couldn't find the right button to turn it back off or something like that. But yeah, he's used all of his overtake system on that previous lap, which is... He had 120 seconds, so that's 2 minutes worth he's just burnt all in one go. That makes zero sense.
Chris Rosenkrantz, I think, is the enigma that keeps on giving, because I don't know what Chris Rosenkrantz is going to do next, and I don't think half the drivers do.
I don't think he knows.
Well, the best plan is no plan, and for the moment, Chris Rosenkrantz, I'd argue, on the back foot now, as Lucas Hand will see this as a red rag to a bull and say, right, we're going to go and really make it happen. We're into the second half of this race. We're nearing lap 12 here of 19, and this is going to be a long race out there by measure of fact that everyone is just trying to keep themselves steady and go through 133 kilometers. It's a very, very long old attempt. Look at the way that Lucas Hand closes in through the chicane, and now he's just got to put himself together and say, right, I want to go for it. Let's now set ourselves up. And Dan Jiang here at 1.7 seconds adrift, I don't think it's entirely safe.
I agree. I don't think he is safe. Not with Lucas Hand having 130 seconds still left of the overtake. Saying that Lucas Hand will save that until the correct moment to use it. He'll wait until the exact moment that is appropriate to turn that on and try and make that move, but even still, he's got enough pace to maybe make the overtake without the overtake system. So it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do.
And here's the other thing. Until he looks over at Chris Rosenkrantz and can see his light hoop off, he will have no idea he's got no battery. Or no OTS, sorry.
I've just gone back and had a look at when Rosenkrantz turned on his overtake system. So I'll bring it up on a replay in just a moment. But when he turned it on there, that's on lap 10. You can see 121 seconds. He left it on for an entire lap, ran out about the same position, or just past that position on the following lap. So, yeah, very confusing as to why he's done that. It makes very little sense. I can understand you doing it on the last lap, but not on lap 10, lap 11.
Well, it has cost him time on this lap to Dan Jiang. That much we do know. So Dan will be very much feeling, okay, I've managed that one quite well on the brakes, final chicane, and able to pull across the line then for a 52 flat. Rosenkrantz a 52 flat and a 52-1 from Lucas Hand, as Rosenkrantz still has some very, very good pace available to him. Dan Jiang himself, not much left. He's down under 70 seconds as Paunov here. This is now for a top 5 with Radmilovic, David, Miguel Gonzalez, Sarkis, and Brian Carey now in that 10th place. Suddenly, there's only 11 runners left here in this, and I'd be looking at Gonzalez and Sarkis, and they're going to be going, all
Here comes
Christmas,
Hand.
but a top 5 still in the offer. Now Hand going to try and make that move. Can't find the angle. Rosenkrantz really had to defend, and he defended aggressive, and that will tell a lot of information out there to Lucas Hand.
Yep, the Hand actually used the overtake system that time to attempt that move. So I wonder if he's getting a little bit of info in his ear. Hey, Rosenkrantz has used his overtake system. He's got none left. You can go for it. Because despite the light being there, you can't see any information from the driver in front of you, but you can see information in your mirrors, the driver behind you. So he might be given that info in his ear. I'm still very confused by Rosenkrantz. After we were just talking him up for not wasting his overtake system as well, after what he'd been doing previous season. Very strange.
It is something that you say, right, okay, I have to maybe fall back and revert to type. And I guess that would be where it's all gone about. It has returned to type for Chris Rosenkrantz, but he knows how important today's race will be for him. But we focus on this group behind. Paunov, Radmilovic, David. Gaps between them interesting. And Daniel Radmilovic hardly touched the OTS. 21 seconds only used of OTS. And I think he's looking around at Dejan Paunov going, well, I could have you on a plate in the final laps of this one. And I think that's what he's banking in for. I want you on a dinner plate.
Lucas Hand's back on the overtake system again. So we'll quickly go to that because he's 10, 11 kilometres an hour faster down the Kemmel Straight. Yeah, he's got it this time. Side by side. Oh, no.
You got to fight it on the brakes, and Chris Rosenkrantz was better, but look at the drive to the second part, almost runs him out of road there as we go back to it now. It's going to be a case where Lucas Hand has got to find the right place to go and make the move, and he can't get it down at Brussels corner. So now he will have to think about going another way to go and make that happen. Light flashing there on the top as that is, again, just staying close there from Chris Rosenkrantz. He's done wonderfully to hold his ground and say, look, I am not going to be buoyed and bullied about on this racetrack. I will take my Honda, and my Honda's better than your Honda.
Fantastic defensive driving from Rosenkrantz to maintain the position, knowing that the driver behind has a massive overspeed advantage. 10 kilometres an hour is not a small advantage. 6, 7 miles an hour faster is huge. So the overspeed is a massive advantage, and he's still able to maintain that pace. It's an incredible advantage that Lucas Hand has, but he just can't capitalise on it. He just can't quite get close enough coming up through Eau Rouge Radion to maintain the position, maintain the advantage.
And all the while, Kevin Foster out to a 5-second lead with 5 laps to go, and is there with the fastest lap too. So finding the move, we know you can get alongside, that's one thing, but passing Chris Rosenkrantz is the other. Lucas Hand then in on for it, and now looking to use as much of this as he can. Gets a much bigger run now up on the Kemmel Straight and realises, well, Chris has nothing for me, and he's had nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing, and this time I have got the money shot at Les Combes. He will confirm it. Rosenkrantz trying to hold himself better with his ability to brake, but it's not there. Lucas Hand is back in third.
I'll tell you what, Lucas Hand probably has enough time and enough overtake system left to maybe challenge Dan Jiang. He is close enough. Jiang's lost a little bit of pace over the last couple of laps. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there with maybe a lap and a half to go. This could still be on for a final second and third spot here. This is going to be an interesting fight all the way to the end.
It all depends on pace, and Dan Jiang, I think, has measured himself effectively. Early morning, as you would know, Jay, for a driver from Australia.
The sun hasn't even come up here yet. I just looked out the window and I can just barely see the sky changing colour. So the sun isn't even up here in Eastern Australia. So I'm not exactly sure where Dan is. I think he's in Melbourne, but yeah, it's still very, very early, only just gone 7 a.m. Winter solstice, so shortest day. We can't wait for the sun to start rising a bit earlier, a bit later, earlier. I can't remember which one it is. More sunlight,
It's earlier.
please.
More sunlight is better, and at the moment, will the sun shine brightly here for Lucas Hand? He's still got Chris Rosenkrantz there. He's got 50 extra seconds compared to Dan Jiang, who is really trying to measure his efforts effectively here. But I would turn around and say this is a race for third rather than a race for second all of a sudden. And look at Chris Rosenkrantz now, and the way that he goes about his business closing up. It's defensive pivoting from Lucas Hand, trying to use the draft cleverly. Rosenkrantz now, he's been so good on the brakes. He goes around the outside, turns into the inside, it's contact. Lucas Hand in the gravel, half spin, holds himself together. Chris Rosenkrantz does not know what the word quit means.
Wow. Crazy. Amazing contact between them. Can't believe there was contact between them there.
I think you can really sense what Chris Rosenkrantz is all about. As a driver, he gives everything, holds it on the outside, commands the inside, and ultimately, he's not going to get pinched. He gets the elbow out, and really there for Lucas Hand, he'll feel like he's done everything correct in the situation. He's just been knocked off course.
Just an interesting moment there, isn't it? And it looks like Hand has a little bit of damage, so he just doesn't seem to have been able to pick up the pace as quick as expected. So, yeah, strange.
Just looking again at the line from Lucas Hand, he's gone very much aggressive in, trying to pinch the line, and ultimately, you know, Chris Rosenkrantz is always going to come out. He can't deviate from where he is, so makes life very, very tough to deal with. As far as Lucas Hand is concerned, he will be a little bit wary if there is any damage. Look at the run. Oh, and that maybe is a bit of a give back there from Chris Rosenkrantz, almost like he missed a gear as he went down the hill to say, look, I don't think we did that very fairly. I'm going to let you have it here, and I'll have a go again. He'll now climb up the top of the hill to try and get this pass, and he'll say, you know what? Yeah, I'll let you have it. I'll go try and take it back like Hamilton did back in the day on a wet, wet Spa, and he'll go around the outside this time with ease.
Much different overtake that time, but I think part of that is the little bit of damage that Lucas Hand he wasn't able to defend the position as easily as previous. The guys behind us also closing up for 5th and 6th. The current Benjamin David not able to keep with the other two, but these two between Rosenkrantz and Lucas Hand, you feel like this isn't over, do you? You feel like this is going to continue all the way to the checkered flag now. I'm saying that too. Lucas Hand's rears look like they're starting to struggle a little bit too. Just notice he's starting to slide a lot more as well in the rear.
Yeah, it's definitely not helpful if the rear tyres are starting to behave in a way that's not going to give you as much feel down on the floor, and he knows he's got to try and get this one back. He's running out of laps to do it. He's running out of OTS to make it all work, and look how close he chases up. I reckon he's got a run on the last chicane if he's not careful. Oh, he pits. Oh. No, he's run wide. He's let him have it back again. Rosenkrantz. Oh, they're playing chicken. They're playing chicken.
They're doing something. They're doing something weird.
That is a bizarre sequence of events. Rosenkrantz deliberately runs it wide, lets him go through, and Lucas Hand says, nah, I want to be behind you. I think they're trying to play a game of chicken here. They've got the gap. They know it's for third, and now they're trying to decide, do I want to lead or not? And Lucas Hand this time is going to pull himself around the outside and take the move here over Chris Rosenkrantz. Rosenkrantz following back in the draft, trying to keep himself steady, doesn't have it.
Guys behind also closing back up again as well. They're still not using the overtake system, but have a look at how much they've got. Kaunov's got 105 seconds. Radmilovic has got 3 minutes of overtake system still left. He can push the button now and run it all the way to the checkered flag.
Only if he wants to. You don't have to use it all. It's a case of you got it available. You don't have to use all of the seconds available. But I'm sure that Daniel Radmilovic would love to attack here against Dejan Paunov, and he would love to do so as soon as possible. Benjamin David, watching on behind, is thinking, well, I'm third in a 3-car train. I can't get close enough, even with a double toe. It's not enough for me to say I can launch into position, Jay.
Exactly right. It's showing everything. It's on for a great position here. He's showing that he could maybe make a move. I think he should push the button. Do it. Do it, Daniel. Push the button. Come on. Push it. Push it.
Well,
I wonder if he hasn't done enough practice on pushing the button or on using the overtake system in other areas on the track. He's a bit nervous.
Well, I think you're waiting for the last chance, and now he's there at Last Chance Saloon. The final lap starting. Kevin Foster with the fastest lap, and 2 Barneys waving a white flag. How about that? Lucas Hand sees again. Look at them on the straight, 240 kilometers an hour, and they're lifting, saying who wants to be in front. Lucas Hand wants to be in front. Now Chris Rosenkrantz says, I want to follow. And look how desperate the weave is on the straight. We talk about karting experience. This is like a karting experience race of tactics that you got to use. And Lucas Hand here, oh, big send down the inside. Rosenkrantz goes around. Icarus flies too close to the sun, gets burned, might cost him 4th. Radmilovic, nowhere to go, loses out on a knife edge. What a pass by Dejan Paunov. Radmilovic straight back onto the power, gets back through. Benjamin David now wants through on his compatriot and manages it. Oh my goodness me, what a moment late here in this race at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. Crazy hour has just hit in the twilight zone, and just like that, Radmilovic, Paunov, David all through on Chris Rosenkrantz. Radmilovic in the top 5, Paunov 4th on some genius driving. We've got to go to the final chicane though. We haven't seen him for dust here today. He was pole by 7/10. He is victorious by over 7 seconds. It is Kevin Foster absolutely rinsing the field at Spa like Eddie Merckx. The Hannibal is there.
What a final lap to finish it on. He wasn't able to get into the 49s, but a 150.3 on that final lap. That's as quick as his qualifying, quicker than his qualifying time in the end. So what a lap. Lucas Hand picks up that position in the end. There's contact between... Was there contact there between Radmilovic and Benjamin David in the end there? Rosenkrantz ends up finishing 7th. But I'll tell you what, shout out to Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez and Felipe Circus, both up 9 positions. Those guys will be absolutely overjoyed with that. Great result for both of those guys to gain 9 positions in a carnage-filled race. What a fantastic drive from both of them.
Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez is so happy he's doing donuts right now down at the last source hairpin. Yeah, he does. He absolutely does. Let's get confirmation of result then here as we set our stall as a finished race. What a day for Kevin Foster. He has looked absolutely unstoppable here today. 8 seconds over Dan Jiang with Lucas Hand 3rd and Dejan Paunov then in 4th position. Daniel Radmilovic ends up finishing in 5th with Benjamin David 6th. And Chris Rosenkrantz, it was just trying to be too technical, too sly with it. Contact with Lucas Hand on the final lap drops him down to 7th. Jonathan Miguel Gonzalez is 8th with Felipe Sarkis 9th. And Brian Carey rounding out your top 10. Your last finisher out there in this race is going to be then Kostek Solovier with Gabri Martinez, the first retiree. And then 5 Brits in a row. The side collapses for Tyler Noller, Jack David Spickett, Andrew Petty, Ben Ford, and Brett Greaves. No luck for Samuel Hataya Hubasi. And then Victor Awad then in the number 10 out on the opening lap of the race. We'll just catch this replay one more time. Lucas Hand desperate to shake him away. Rosenkrantz still a ways back as he looks to try and get it into the corner. And here's the issue. He's got to try and outbrake him, Jay. It's not going to work from that far back.
No, was going to always get squeezed from that point. But I tell you what an overtake around the outside. And he's got the overtake system on as well. So he had to be very gentle on the power as well at the same time. He's done a brilliant job. Rosenkrantz just had nothing left to fight with. The tyres were overheated. He knew he just had to tuck back in the line. And those guys, they put up a brilliant fight in that second battle. We didn't quite show it enough. They just timed that run perfectly as well in their battle. It was really good to see.
It very much was. Now, we do have to pay the bills here today in terms of what we have of amazing racing and who we have to thank for this amazing show, because this one is brought to you courtesy of Sync Mesh. It's also brought to you with the good grace of Tamash Setups with Get Good out there here today. 3R Simworks joining us new for this season. JamesBurnCoaching.com and as well by Lab Laps. This show is possible thanks to the people at Full Push Sim Gear, Canada's ultimate destination for elite gear. From precision pedals to professional turnkey rigs, we fuel your obsession. Pure performance, expert support, push harder, drive faster. This show is brought to you thanks to Sim Racing Nation, the community for sim racing enthusiasts and motorsport professionals from around the world. They focus on fostering competitive racing and an environment for drivers of all skill levels. This show is brought to you thanks to TDI 99. Level up with 15 years worth of racing grit. TDI delivers pro tips, quick laps, and the hard truths F1 won't discuss. Follow TDI 99 on YouTube today. And this show brought to you courtesy of Rookie Racing. Ready to hit the track? Rookie Racing is your spot to discover motorsports. We make it easy for new racers to get behind the wheel, so stop dreaming and start driving. Book your experience or full season at rookieracing.ca, located in the greater Toronto area. Well, some incredible racing action, some incredible driving, and one incredible performance from Kevin Foster, who's with me right now. Kevin, first and foremost, that qualifying lap and that final lap that you did in that race, both laps, absolutely stratospheric. Talk us about how you were one with the machine today.
I have to thank Tomas, because without his setups, I wouldn't have the confidence to push the car the way that I did. But you nailed it. It's man and machine in perfect harmony, and I was just really happy driving the car this week at Spa. Spa is one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track outright. So just getting to put laps in clean air, especially qualifying where you got the full max wing, new tires, low fuel, the car's just absolutely on rails. And yeah, the lap came together. I just hit every mark and tried not to throw it away in the last corner.
The car absolutely sung for you. You had to fight hard in the early laps, though, with the likes of Dan Jiang giving you a little bit of something for. But it looked to you like the middle sector was where all the time was starting to be won out there, having that clean air, giving you a lot of advantage to then go and build up that 8-second margin by the end of the race.
I think Spa is one of those tracks that lends itself to the whole slipstreaming racing effect, where if you're not comfortably, I'd say, 0.8 of a second faster than the car behind, you're not going to break the toe. You just have so much slipstream on the Kemmel straight and on the back straight into the final corner. So the toe is like almost a full second around here. So opening laps, it was definitely trying to just do everything I could to break that slipstream, not make mistakes, not run wide, just really hit my marks and try and eke out that gap exactly in the middle sector, where I knew that the dirty air would be hitting the car behind the most.
Now, Kevin, in terms of getting up to speed and experience, your racing pedigree over in FIA F4 France does precede you in terms of how fast you are and how lightning quick of a driver you are. As far as that goes and taking your ability to go from reality back into sim, how much of that experience do you take in your sim racing action, and how much are you able to take what you've learned and apply it directly to the super formulas?
I take a lot of experience and also a bit of anger going from F4 back into the sim. Me and the F4 car didn't get along too well. I just am too big and too heavy, and didn't have like the biomechanic advantage compared to my rivals. So there's a bit of that fire that keeps me pushing hard in the sim, and especially at a track like Spa, where, like I mentioned earlier, with the whole slipstream racing, it's more of a mental battle. You're not even thinking about the driving at that point. You're calculating the gaps behind, you're calculating OTS burn, and I mean the likes of Lucas and Chris who are embroiled in a battle. I mean, they're not even thinking about hitting the apex consciously. They're just driving and using all of that mental bandwidth to calculate OTS and timings and the 100-second retime and all of that stuff. So that's where you kind of take the most amount of experience coming from F4. It's where you know, driving the real car, you have so much more distractions, I want to say. You've got like the wind rushing over your helmet and all of the G forces. So you take that away, you can really hyper focus in on the driving in the sim.
What a fascinating insight that is. Kevin, go celebrate, and we hope to see you at the second round of the championship. Kevin Foster, a huge result then here today from the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It was wonderful to see, and also it was wonderful to see a Calgary compatriot out there, Lucas Hand, third position ultimately, but I want to talk about those games between you and Chris Rosenkrantz, and what on earth was happening for a couple laps there?
No, I mean, yeah, it was a great race between him. So I had known that Chris had burned all of his overtake and earlier in the race, and I was really trying to keep track position on him, trying to stay behind him because he was playing games trying to stay behind me so he could draft right past me. He did that the first lap. He did that. I was like, oh, okay. He just kind of let me through. Maybe he had a slowdown. The next lap he tried slowing down. I caught on, and so I was doing my best to stay behind him, kind of some Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc esque games there. And no, it was really fun, and I think it adds a lot to, you know, battle for DRS or battle for slipstream rather, kind of like you battle for DRS at F1 back in the day. So no, I mean it was really fun, and it was really intriguing to, you know I have a lot more overtake and trying to keep my track position or trying to stay behind him to get the draft as well up the straight so I could utilize that overtake and that extra overspeed. And it was just super interesting, and it was high speed chess, and I really enjoyed it.
That high-speed chess really did come across then as far as it went. And then that final incident then as you went in up to Lake Coombe, was that just a case of, you know, you left him all the room that you could and ultimately you think that Chris maybe outbroke himself there?
Yeah, you know, I think Chris misjudges some moves from time to time. And I think that was just way too over-optimistic from him. And he broke so late. If I would have turned in, I mean, I would have been flipped over like JDS earlier in the race, right? So I had to bail out of it, and him spinning himself out was, you know, a method of his madness. So I don't think I did anything wrong there. I think it was just, you know, racing, and I had to bail out of the corner, and I left him some room, but it was just kind of a crazy move.
Right, let's talk next race out because you picked up third place and 2 points as well in qualifying. Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecker is next up on the docket. So as far as that goes for you, how are you feeling at a circuit that is probably a little bit more downforce orientated than this one here and offers a different style of racing?
For sure. I mean, Nürburgring is such a low grip surface, especially in these cars. It's super, super difficult. And to be able to make the most of that high downforce, be able to make the most of braking late and, you know, getting the car rotated, it's so, so difficult. And, you know, it's somewhere where Kevin actually excels again. He excels even more. He excels everywhere. It's super annoying. And so, you know, it's a place where you have to be really calm and really patient, manage your tires, make sure they're not overheated because it is so easy to overheat your rears of that track, sliding all over the place. So it'll be very interesting for sure.
Well, we will say go and celebrate your podium finish here. And what a very good drive it was today for Lucas Hand, who finished off in third position overall and did an absolutely wonderful job. Next time out, you've got the Nürburgring, and it is with the BES WEC chicane. So it's not as tight. It's a lot more quick as you go through that final section as you now work for it. So I would be looking at that and saying, right, I want it. 20th of June, it's not. It's going to be the 27th of June out there at 8:30 GMT. So you're definitely going to want to jump on and say, I absolutely want to be on and watching that here on SimSpeed TV. That is going to be something amazing. But today is all about who it belongs to and how great it was from Jay Kennedy on cameras and alongside me on commentary, myself, Jake Sperry. Wow. What a race we have had. Crazy amounts of battling, crazy amounts of heavy action out there where it could have gone any number of ways. In the middle of the pack, it had to be fought really hard. At the front, we have to talk about one statue over at Stavolo, the town. It is a statue dedicated to Eddie Merckx, the legendary cyclist who won 3 world championships, was a 7-time winner of Milan-San Remo, 3 Paris-Roubaix, 2 Tour of Flanders, 5 Liège-Bastogne-Lièges, and 2 Giro Lombardias. He is the greatest cyclist who has ever lived in his generation, and he was known sometimes as the cannibal, because what he would do to fields, he would eat them alive. What we have seen today from Kevin Foster was the sim racing equivalent of eating a field alive. 7 tenths in qualifying, 8 seconds over the line, and he is making this field look trivial by comparison, and this is a world-class field of very, very quick drivers. Question will be now, will that be the same as we head to round 2 of the championship? We will go from one great circuit to the next. We'll see you in 7 over at the Nürburgring.